Shalom, 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 Alakim, Yisrael, Yotonathon, Dawid, with you here again. On what you see is the third day of Unleavened. This is the third day that Yahweh Shua, Hamashiach, Al Goel, Redeemer, was in the tomb. He's Al Goel. I dropped that word onto you years ago. It means redeemer. It means genetic family redeemer. This is his third day in the tomb. Yesterday, we spoke about Abib as the earthly witness. Today, we're going to talk about time, how we must get it right. We must get this thing right. If you don't think you need to get it right, you don't need to know what time it is. Get up and go to work whenever you feel like it. Don't you have to get it right what time you have to go to work? Don't you have to get it right at what time to go to your doctor's appointment or anything? So we must get this right because this is our souls are at stake. This is more important than anything else. We know that Isaiah 55:9, Yahweh says his thoughts and his ways are higher than our thoughts and our ways. Heavenly witness is greater than the earthly witness. It is the foundation that the earthly reality has to abide by. So what is in heaven is supposed to be what's down here. And we're supposed to copy the patterns up above. Deuteronomy 19:15. Moshe told us that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses must everything be established. So our first witness is going to be in heaven, or first and second, and then our first and second witnesses will be here on earth to help establish to us what we get from Hashemayim. 2 or 3 witnesses. We cannot make a decision or choice only by one witness. Now, let's read Job 38, 31 through 33. Job 38, 31 through 33. And this reads as such. Can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades or loose the belt of Orion? Can you bring out constellations in its season? Or can you guide the great bear with its cubs? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you set their dominion over the earth? Yahweh is speaking boldly and strongly, saying, can any of us, talking to Job, who was the most righteous man on earth at that time, command the constellations? Yahweh instituted these stars and constellations. Yes, today we have people who worship these things and use these things to make money and fortune telling. That's all sinful and demonic. We know that. That's not what the Hebrew here is talking about. We're talking about utilizing the constellations to follow the time that Yahweh has marked to meet with him. See, the goal is to get with him. Get in where you fit in with Yahweh. And he used the constellations as a benchmark. It is for the years. The constellations, the stars, like I told you, we're under a dome. It's just like when you was a little boy. I had one. When your mother gets you that little dome with the lights in it and puts it on the floor and you spin it and the lights go around your ceiling and your walls and you look at it and it's just beautiful and you go to sleep. That's what we are. It's a dome and the lights are in the dome. And that's what we have. And they move to the westward. And there's very few little changes either way. We're going to talk about that. So we see that the heavenly bodies rule over the earthly bodies. The heavenly bodies is the first witness and earthly is the second witness. We know that Yahweh himself talks about the constellations. He talked about Mazzaroth and the bear and all these things. There are 12 signs of the zodiac. Yahweh gave us 12 zodiac signs. Yes, you got people doing their dirt with it now and reading palms. We're not talking about that. Yahweh gave them. So we need to study them to learn of them. There are 36 constellations. So you got 12 zodiac signs and 36 constellations that we are commanded to learn. I am very, very new in learning this. I'm barely dealing with the moon right now. But we are commanded to learn these things. We do know that the Mishkan that we got, that Yahweh gave Moshe the blueprint for, came from Hashemayim. The Mishkan here, which I'm the one that dropped it on you, this is how it looks. It's a dome, just like heaven and earth. The Mishkan is not a square. It is not a rectangle. Get this book. And it looks like a watch piece, okay? Maybe tomorrow I'll put a watch on. I don't even use watches. I may bring one tomorrow and put one on for tomorrow's broadcast session. And it's a timepiece, Yahweh's timepiece. That's why he told Moshe, make sure you build it exactly like I showed you. And he said, I showed it to him. He says it many times. That means he had a blueprint. He literally showed Moshe how to do it. Moshe followed orders. He didn't say it didn't matter, like too many of us do, because it matters. So it's a timepiece. This is why Esau lies to us and made us look like a rectangle. We all thought that. That's why you need to tune into Yahweh for Christians, because you're going to get knowledge you're not going to get anywhere else. And once you hear from here, then I start seeing it in social media and other places. John 5. Now, I was just thinking just a few minutes ago that it's amazing how birds, bees, bears, everybody, ants, every creature understands and obeys the signs of the times. And they have predictable behavior based on their reading and understanding of the signs of the times. The only creature on this earth, the only one that ignores the signs of the times or mucks it up or lies about it or tries to change it and alter it and lie about it is man. The greatest creature on the earth, the only one made after the image of Yahweh, man is the only one that does not have discernment of the times, who does not obey the times, and when they do study it, they try to alter it and change it and manipulate with it. And that's a damned shame. Don't you be as such. Don't be stiff-necked. Study this. It's important. It's important. John 5:33 and then verse 36. You have sent to John, and he has borne witness to the truth. But I have a greater witness than John's, because the works which the Father has given me to finish, the very works that I do bear witness of me, that the Father has sent me. Yahweh Shua is the earthly witness. Yachanan Yahweh is the heavenly witness. Yachanan is the earthly witness. And he says, hey, y'all agreed to Yachanan. I'm the greater witness. I come from Hashemayim. Yachanan did great. He did his job. He was the earthly Elijah, earthly witness. Yahweh Shua is the heavenly witness. He came down to earth, and I'm here to tell you that. Let's follow this man. Follow him. Exodus 34:22 and 23, Yahweh says that 3 times of the year we are to come before him. 3 times a year we have an appointment with Yahweh Shua. At the tent of meeting. We don't have a tent of meeting. So wherever he has his name, he resides his name, his unleavened name, join in with that. Join in with that man who's leading out in the unleavened name of Yahweh Shua. 3 times a year. We are commanded, at least the men are commanded, maybe not all the women, but we are commanded to do this. And don't come empty-handed. So those 3 times we know are this time right here, the first day, and it's a Shabbat. Then we have the Feast of Weeks, which is Shavuot, that comes next. And then we have the Feast of Ingathering. Now, I want to talk about this word Tikufa. Tikufa is circuit. If you don't want to believe what I'm saying, this word is important. It's only been used 3 times in the Torah. And it talks about a circle, an appointed time. If I'm walking around in this circle, I will eventually get around back to where I came from. You start from one point, you go around, and you're going to end up back where you came from. That's how the Mishkan is. It's Yahweh's timepiece. And he is speaking of this he's using this word to get us to realize that he has an appointed time to come back and meet with him. He only used this word 3 times, so he must really mean it. If he means it, then we should mean it. Now, think about this. They call they use the term equinox. All right? That's not a biblical term, but equinox. There's only 3 days that the spring equinox comes on. It's either the 19th, the 20th, or the 21st. So there's not a whole lot of change. That first ear of barley will show up either on the 19th, 20th, or 21st, because that's when the so-called spring equinox is. That doesn't change that much. The fall equinox only has 3 days, maybe 4 days. Those days are the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd. Rarely, very rarely, the 24th fall equinox will fall on the 24th. I think the next time is going to be like 2080 something. And I don't even think the world's going to be here by that time. But there's no way that a Hebrew Israelite should be a whole month off, 2 months off on this, when the spring equinox only has an option of 1 of 3 days. That's it. Okay? So you don't want to follow somebody who has you missing the mark. And that's what sin is. You know, sin means missing the mark. Here's Yahweh's Mishkan. Here's his timepiece. Esau taught us differently. And if you miss it, you know, X marks the spot. And if you're sinning, you miss the mark. You miss time. Just like your timing belt in your car. It misses. It skips. It misses. You're missing the time. Yahweh comes around. Bam! You need to be there. He comes around. Bam! You need to be there. He comes around. Bam! You need to be there 3 times. If you're not there at that time, you have missed the mark. You have sinned. That's not me. I'm just here to tell you that. That's what sin means. Look it up. One of the meanings of it is to miss the mark. And we have too many of our Hebrew brothers who are missing the mark with the Kodesh Moedim. So the number one description of Yahweh's Mishkan, which we call the tabernacle, the number one description that Yahweh uses out of his mouth is that it's called the tent of meeting. This is why I'm emphasizing this, that this time we must get it right. We must get this right. The Mishkan, Yahweh says, out of his mouth, is called the tent of meeting. Okay? It's the Ohel Moed. And he gives it other names, but the primary name is tent of meeting. Key word is meeting. So if you have a doctor's appointment at a certain day and time, that's the time. If you have a trip, that's even better. Going across the ocean, you cannot go to the airport a day late. You can't even go 10 minutes late. I was one time, my wife was the last one to get on the plane on a trip we had to go overseas. They had to rush us through. The plane was not going to wait for her. It was not going to do it. Had to rush us on through to get there. They was not going to hold up a whole plane for us. There was a meeting time to be on that plane to go fly to our destination. And that's the way it is. Yahweh has a meeting time. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts and everything is higher than ours. Go by his ways, not by your own. This is important. I keep saying it over and over again because Yahweh says it over and over again. Don't be late. Don't be like the 5 foolish virgins. Who wants to be called a fool? No one wants to be called a fool. But the Yahweh Shua said those 5 virgins who did not have their oil, their Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit, were fools. And they were not allowed into the wedding feast. They were not allowed in. You got to be ready. You got to be on time. You got to always be ready. Now, talking about this time, Psalms 19:6 says, it's rising, talking about the sun, Psalms 19:16, it's rising, it's from one end of heaven and to the other end. And its circuit, talking about this word, tekufa, and its circuit to the other end. And there is nothing hidden from its heat. Nothing. So it's talking about this word tekufa. Only 3 times this word is used, and this is one of them. The other one is in 1 Samuel 1:20. Get a chance, read it. And the third is 2 Chronicles 24:23. Read those 3 scriptures, Psalm 19:6, 1 Samuel 1:20, 2 Chronicles 24:23. Talking about tekufa, circuit. And when something comes around, you need to be there at the appointed time. All right? Now, like I said, the spring and fall equinox do not change. They vary a little bit, but not by much. And if this is the true, and it is, that means the fall feast, the spring feast and the fall feast, they should not be changing that much from year to year. There is an allowance only for the first feast, all right, Abib. There's an allowance for a second month of keeping it. We'll talk about that in the future. We've already talked about it last year. But for the most part, this is it. Okay? Got to get this right. Now, we're going to mark Pesach. How do we mark it? Okay? We know that first you need the new moon. All right? You need the new moon. That is the heavenly witness. And you count from there. 7 days later is Abib. 7 days later is Abib. That is your earthly witness. That's the green ears. The whole month was named. That's what the name of the month. The month is given this name because it is the green ears. You can't even get that wrong. It gets its name for what it looks like. Okay, the green ears marks the name. So you have a new moon. 7 days later you have Abib. 7 days after that you have Pesach. You have Pesach. That means we 14 days into spring. By the time you get to Pesach, you are 14 days into what we call spring. This way, Yahweh is assured of having some of the Abib to be available. Some of them, because the Abib is going to be at various stages of ripening all across the country of Yisrael. Now, we're over here. We're going to talk about that. But if Yahweh has his Pesach 2 weeks into spring, this guarantees that there will be some Abib available for the wave offering. Because 3 days after Pesach comes the wave sheaf offering. So that's going to be sometime in the morning. Yahweh Shua raises from the tomb and he offers the wave sheaves. Probably want to do it around 6 o'clock in the morning and do your wave offering and your heave offering. Now the heave goes in 4 different directions: east, north, south, and west. And the wave goes like the figure 8 laying down inside the sign of eternity. Okay? Now, that comes 3 days. So that should be sometime 6 o'clock in the morning of this day. It's called the Omer. Okay? The wave sheaf is the Omer. And the day after that, you count. Well, the Sunday following the Sabbath, the 7-day Sabbath, Shabbat, you do your count for Shavuot. Some people call it Shavuot, Feast of Weeks, but it's Shavuot. That's the exact Hebrew word, Shavuot. And that is when you count for the next feast day. So obviously, we must get this first one correct. We must get that new moon correct, which is 0 moon. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. The beginning, because there's a domino effect. You get the new moon right, which is no moon. Then you count from there. You get to Abib. Then you get Pesach. Then you get first fruits. It's a domino effect. If you don't get it right the first time, if you're given instructions and from the very word go, you start off on the wrong way, it will be impossible if you follow, even if you follow the instructions perfectly after getting the first one wrong. You cannot end up in the correct path. You will not end up at the correct finish line because you got it wrong from the beginning. We must get the first step right because everything follows after that. Now, you say, well, Yehonathan, we're over here in Baltimore, D.C., wherever you are. Leviticus 23, 10 through 14. Leviticus 23, 10 through 14. And it reads as such. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give to you and reap its harvest, then you will bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. This is the wave sheaf. He will wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted on your behalf. On the day after Shabbat. The priest will wave it. So that's on a Sunday. This year is not going to be on a Sunday, but you still count from Sunday, what we call Sunday. And you will offer on that day, when you wave the sheaf, a male lamb of the first year without blemish as a burnt offering to Yahweh. Its grain offering will be 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh for a sweet aroma, and its drink offering will be a wine 1/4 of a hin. You will eat neither bread nor parched grain nor fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to Yahweh. It will be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. So Yahweh says two key things here. Statute forever. Okay, so forever is a long time. And in all your dwellings. So he knows already we're going to be dispersed throughout the world because he planned it that way. So that means even though you're over here and you cannot see the Kodesh Eretz Abib, you're not going to see the Abib in the Holy Land, you still need to do it over here based on reading the sun, moon, and stars and all that. You do the best you can because Yahweh said so. You do what you can. That don't mean you celebrate it in the wintertime. Doesn't mean you celebrate it in the summertime. Abib is at springtime and it only comes on 1 or 3 days every year. That's what you do no matter where you are. If you want to be on time, get in where you fit in with Yahweh. Now, you can look at the various offerings, Numbers 5:15, Leviticus 2:1 gives all the instructions. But I want to talk about this word moon. The moon, look at its Hebrew number 2320, Kodesh. We call the word moon, but the Hebrew word is Kodesh. The root word is Kadash, okay? And it means to restore, repair, renew. It's the spirit of this. It's the spirit of renewing, refreshing, refurbishing. That's what it means. So you get a car and you use it up. Before the owner comes, you got to clean it up, refresh it, refurbish. It's still the same car. You just refresh it, refurbish it. You get some old furniture. It's still the same chair, sofa, whatever. You just refresh it, renew it. You refurbished it. That's it. It doesn't change. So this is the same thing. Yahweh refurbished and refreshed and renewed the covenant with us, his bride, after we broke it. We broke the covenant before we even got the commandments. We said we're going to do whatever you say, and then we broke it. So Yahweh did not change it. He renewed it. He refreshed it. He refurbished it. He cleaned it up. And this is it. Okay? So we're going to talk about that even some more. But Yahweh did not get rid of his covenant. He just refreshed it, renewed it, refurbished it. And the moon is the faithful witness of it. Is like I said, it's just like offering you something in my hand, and the more I open it up, the more of it you see. It's still the same offering, but you're seeing more of it. And we're learning today more of the offerings. We know today more than David knew, more than Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob knew, because we're on this side of the sacrifice. Tomorrow is part 4, the new moon. The new moon, because remember, this is where it all starts. You got to be able to read the new moon, and it is 0 luminosity. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go step by step, real easy. So until then, Yehonzan Da, we with you here. Shalom Aleichem, peace be on you.